It's that time of year once again where we count down our top 10 best films of 2020. Now, 2020 is, of course, a unique year in which not a lot of stuff came out in theaters due to, a global pandemic. But we're going to get started here with our top 10 list that we've compiled based on our 10 favorites here at Film Snob Reviews. We took everybody's list into consideration, and this is what we came up with. We're going to obviously do 10 through 2, give you some honorable mentions, and then we'll hit you with that sweet number 1. So to get us started, let's start with number 10. Number 10, Lawrence Michael Levin's Black Bear. This one is about a filmmaker at a creative impasse, played by Aubrey Plaza. She stumbles upon a newly wedded couple at a rural retreat, both played by Sarah Gadon and, of course, Christopher Abbott, who had an amazing 2020, as you'll see from this list. This is one of the strangest and hardest movies to tell you guys about, and I think that the best way to sort of explain it to you would be to definitely check out Shay's review on the website, of course. It's a strange film that is very meta, and that's all I can really tell you about this one without giving away too much, because that's giving away too much on this movie would definitely do it a disservice. Number 9. Thomas Vinterberg is back once again, and he's working with Mads Mikkelsen on another round. This one is about 4 friends, all high school teachers, who try to maintain a constant level of alcohol in their bloodstream. What we get is one of the best comedies, not just of this year, but of what will end up being one of the seminal one for this decade. It really is just no kind of subtlety to this, and it's a beautifully done film. Steal a quote from my dear buddy James. Thomas Vinterberg has made another enthralling film, and it's clear that in this one, in some way, is a return to form. Don't miss this one. This is definitely one you're going to want to check out, especially if you're a huge award season fan. Number 8. Adam Ray Meyer's Dinner in America. Another Sundance 2020 gem. One of my absolute favorite experiences in the theater was seeing this one with Kyle Gellner and Emily Skeggs there, as well as Adam Ray Meyer. Not only is this punk rock as fuck, like I said in my review, but there's just such an attitude and a love and peacefulness between the characters. The chemistry's there. It's an electricity that you don't often find in romantic comedies, especially ones like this that are so much more different than the normal type of romantic comedy that you'd get. And one of the standouts for me is that the attitude doesn't match the sentiment at all. It could very well have come off as this bitter, desperate look into suburbia and how lonely that can be, but instead what we get is this beautifully told love story, an almost Romeo and Juliet meets Sid and Nancy, I think I said in my review. And I think it's really well done. This is certainly one that it hasn't come out yet. I think it's still on VOD, but if you don't get a chance to see it, you're missing out. Number 7. This is another directorial debut, and this time we have Emerald Fennell's Promising Young Woman. She wrote and directed this. It stars Carey Mulligan as a woman traumatized by her events who seeks vengeance against men in general for something that has plagued her in her past. Now, there is something to be said for the performance here given by Carey Mulligan, as it is probably one of her best performances, and probably her best since, some would say in Education, I'd say Inside Llewyn Davis, because she's so damn bitter and fantastic in that. But every time she's on the screen, as usual, she's magnetic. I really love what they did with this, and that screenplay is an absolute joy and a marvel of modern writing. I think it's a great one, and I certainly can see it getting a nomination, the necessary nomination, for Best Original Screenplay. This is out right now. You should definitely check it out. It's a VOD, so it's worth $20, $5, however much it costs you on whatever VOD platform you're using. Definitely want to check this one out. It is one of the best films of the year, and again, this is a Sundance 2020 one for us. Certainly worth your time, and certainly a unique experience in general. Trigger warning for many people, there is sexual assault in this film. Be careful watching that. Number 6. Palm Springs sees Max Barbacal's directorial debut, and until this year, the highest price for a film bought at Sundance Film Festival. This one bought from the Sundance 2020 at $16,069,000. Romantic comedy, you know that's my wheelhouse. But here's the thing: I wasn't the only one that really loved it. A lot of the audience that I saw it with loved it as well. Andy Samberg, Kristen Milioti stars two people: one a carefree guest of a wedding, the other a maid of honor and sister of the bride, who find themselves stuck in an inescapable situation. That's all I'm going to say about it as far as the plot, because I don't want it to get ruined. Hulu has this one right now, and this is a really huge get for both Neon, who purchased it, and Hulu, who put it out. I really can't express to you how much fun I had watching this. And I've never seen a group of critics, and these are not your regular critics. These are the most hardened of the hardened critics, because this is a Sundance Film Festival, who were laughing their asses off and enjoying themselves thoroughly watching this. There's certainly a heart to the film, and there's certainly something to be said for how beautifully done everything is. This is a great job, and this is a fantastic effort by a first-time director, and I look forward to seeing what Max Barbacow does next. Number 5. No film in 2020 more encapsulated the human experience of being like Pete Docter and Ken Powers' new Pixar film, Soul. What a lovely gesture to humanity and what it is to be a human. Then to find out, that we are but specks in an infinite stream of conscious that is constantly going. I think that the existentialism touched here goes beyond that of what Pixar thought they were getting. And I think that both this and in another Doctor film, Inside Out, he explores themes that are often hard to talk to children about, and does so in a way that children can understand, and a way that they'll be able to digest it. It's that level of storytelling and filmmaking that makes Pete Docter one of the best directors, and probably the best animated director working today. He also helped write this film. Jamie Foxx is stellar. Tina Fey is hilarious. Pixar, even my disdain for Disney, will never take away from the fact that Pixar makes some of this generation's best animated features. This is a shoo-in to win the Oscar, and it's going to be hard seeing anything else beat it. If you have not seen this, please do yourself a favor and watch it on Disney Plus. Bring your tissue, because if you're like me, you're going to be crying your damn eyes out at how absolutely gorgeous this film is. And I would hate for anyone to miss out on that experience. Number 4. Alright, this is a film that I really love to talk about. It's Lee Isaac Chung's absolute masterpiece. Another Sundance 2020 film, Maneater. This film has won both the Audience Award and the Grand Jury Prize of the 2020 Sundance Film Festival. And there were some incredible films there. I need you to understand that. But none more incredible than this utter masterstroke of the American dream. When you watch this film, as I said with Soul, you're going to need to bring the tissue, because both Stephen Yeun and Yeri Han do an amazing job of bringing this tale to fruition. There are moments in this when I thought to myself, I don't know what I'm watching right now, but it's absolutely gorgeous. None more so than there's a particular scene here, and I think this is the scene where I realized that there can be beauty in everyday objects and everyday situations, and that not every situation should have a fatalist end. There's a scene where Alan Kim, who plays the son, is there in the home of one of his new church friends, and of course this is in rural South in the 80s, so you assume certain things are going to happen in that home, certain words are going to be used, and certain attitudes are going to be portrayed. And it doesn't do that. It flips it on its head and goes where you don't expect it to. And that is when I knew that we had something absolutely special on our hands. If you're like me and you like a good cry, this is definitely one for you. But also, if you just want a film to give you an honest portrayal of what being an American truly can be and is, this is a film to watch. And I'm hoping that Stephen Yeun will pick up quite a bit of hardware for this absolutely fantastic performance. Number 3. Mank is a film that I was not as high on as my fellow critics were. I thought it was great. It basically takes a look at the life of Herman Mankiewicz, who was a screenwriter back in the 1930s and 40s, wrote Citizen Kane. And it really kind of gives you context as to where that script came from. David Fincher does a great job shooting the whole thing in black and white. Amanda Seyfried has not been as good in a while in the supporting role of Marion Davies, who is a real person as well. There is a lot of good to take from this movie. It's really well crafted, really well directed. The acting is, of course, stellar. The one fault that I would really take away from it is that it's a little too long at over 2 hours. And that probably could have been tightened up. And that's really the only fault in this film. Otherwise, you have one of cinema's greatest scripts and how it was made. It's basically how the sausage is made for one of the best scripts in Hollywood history. It does all come off as a bit of self-fellatio on Hollywood's part, but never too much so to where it takes away from the generalized message and the actual story being told. So for that, you have to kind of give it to them. Other than that, though, definitely want to check this one out. It is on Netflix, so it's really easy to find. Number 2. Let me start talking about this film, and in the only true way that you can start talking about this film, and that is by saying that it is fucking weird. I'm Thinking of Ending Things, directed by Charlie Kaufman. It's on Netflix. It was also written by Charlie Kaufman and based on Ian Reid's book of the same name. Stars Jesse Plemons and Jesse Buckley. And I could begin to try to explain what's going on in this movie, but I don't know that I would do it justice simply just giving you the explanation. So what I will do is give you sort of a Cliff Notes version. Essentially, we have a young woman who's traveling with her new boyfriend to meet his parents. However, things are not exactly going well for the couple, at least from her perspective, and that's sort of the whole perspective of the entire film. It's only once we get to the home of the parents, who, honestly, they're played wonderfully by Toni Collette and David Thewlis, who's worked with Charlie Kaufman before in another great movie called Anomalisa, which was another one of the films that Kaufman himself directed. But I digress on that. The point here is weird stuff starts happening once they get to this home, and I could try to explain it to you in depth, but that's not what this video is for. That'll be a whole totally separate video that we're actually working on right now to kind of tell you what we think this movie's about. It's wonderfully written. It's damn well directed, and it kind of had to be, because you would have been at a loss for everything if it wasn't well enough directed, or if it was not written as tightly as it is. But again, I stress to the general audience, if you don't like your films a little bit harder to read and more interpretive, this is not one for you. And neither is Black Bear, because they're both very much highly interpretive films. But be careful with this one. It is on Netflix, though, so it is easy to get your hands on. So definitely check this one out, if only for Jesse Buckley once again being amazing. Before we get to number 1, let me give you the best of the rest. Our honorable mentions, I got 4 movies on this list for you, and let's go over them. From Netflix, we have Da 5 Bloods, a Spike Lee joint. Great film. I'm a little bit disappointed it's not getting more award season love outside of Chadwick Boseman's performance, which is good. Ham on Rye, I have no information about this film, but it was very highly rated on James's list, and thus why it ended up getting into our honorable mention list. Borat, subsequent film, another just hilarious entry in this series. I honestly did not expect us to be getting a sequel this far removed from the original, but it worked so perfectly. What a fantastic film. And the last honorable mention is one I want to take time to speak on. There's a film this year that we saw at South by Southwest, directed by Lin Chen, called I Will Make You Mine, and no film this year has made me as emotional and happy and sad and introspective as this absolutely stunning piece. I Will Make You Mine is about 3 women wrestling with the fact that their past relationship with the same man has led them to different areas. And this man, played by Go Nakamura, who's a great singer-songwriter, in his own right, and it does a great job in this. This is actually the 3rd movie in a trilogy, and I'm a little bit mad and disappointed in myself that I didn't get the chance to check out either Surrogate Valentine or Daylight Savings, which are the 2 films that accompany this. They're the first 2 films in this series. Like I said, I'm really ashamed I didn't get to see them beforehand. It still works, even if you don't know those other 2 films, but I love this movie, and if you take away one thing from this list, it's that this is perhaps the most underrated movie of 2020. Go see this. It's a hell of a time. Not only is it expertly crafted, the direction is brilliant from first-time director Lin Chen, who's normally an actor, and she's an actress in this particular film as well. But the script is incredible. The performances are there, and the black and white cinematography just is gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. I love it. See, I Will Make You Mine. It will make you so happy, but also irreparably sad, because that's how life is. It's happy and sad alternating until you eventually die. Check it out, though. It's a great film. Number one. All right, we finally arrived, and here it is, the number one film of 2020. And I don't think my choice for number one will leave anyone surprised if you've been paying attention at all to me this year. It's Darius Marder's feature film debut, Sound of Metal, from Amazon Prime. First of all, let's start with this. Riz Ahmed has been an underrated actor for some time. If you did not see Nightcrawler, which was my favorite film of the year that it came out, and one of my favorite films of the last decade, you're missing out on a great performance from Riz Ahmed. Here, he takes himself above and beyond that, and I think it's himself, Riz Ahmed, and Stephen Yeun for me as the best actors of this year. And there's no competition there. The sound design, the sound mixing is all well done. It's so well done that there is a moment when we are with our lead character, Ruben, and we feel as deaf as he is in that moment. Because the film revolves around a former hardcore punk rock musician who has gone deaf. He's lost his ability to hear. And as a drummer, that's your greatest gift, is your ability to keep time and hear and be able to make sure your band is in time. I know that from experience, not as a drummer, but as someone who's been in a band before. There's no more gorgeous feeling than the first time we get to experience a character's loss and put ourselves in their shoes. And I think that is so beautifully done here that there cannot be any denial of the fact that Ruben and, by proxy, Riz Ahmed are just absolutely brilliant. The acting is spot on. The direction is pitch perfect, and that's important that I said pitch perfect, because this film's sound design is also perfect to a T. Everything is so well done, and at no point do you not understand what's going on, or are you not able to sympathize with the character. The film crafts that all for you, and there's no higher regard that I can give a film than leaving me with a feeling that I've never felt before, and that's exactly what this did. Seeing this film shouldn't be a problem. It's on Amazon Prime, and this is the sole reason to get Amazon Prime, is that these guys are definitely killing it. Check this one out. That's the list, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. Our top 10 films of 2020. What were some of your favorites? Leave that in the comments below. Let us know. And be sure to check out our website, filmsnobreviews.com, as well as reaching out to us on Twitter, Instagram, and pretty much everywhere else at Film Snob Reviews. Below, you'll also see a link for our Discord. Come on in. We're going to start doing watch-alongs and just having fun and conversation about all the stuff that we do at the website. For Film Snob Reviews, this has been William, and we'll see you next time.